Parents, when did you realize your kids actually listen to what you tell them? I taught my daughter about being kind to everyone. I never thought it would save multiple lives. My 15-year-old Emma came home last Tuesday acting weird. She kept checking her phone every few minutes and seemed nervous about something. When I asked what was wrong, she just said, "Nothing, Mom," and went straight to her room. She barely touched her dinner that night, just pushed the spaghetti around her plate. The next morning, she hugged me extra long before school. She never does that anymore. She's usually rushing out the door complaining about being late for first period. I thought maybe she had a big test or presentation. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She even forgot her favorite water bottle on the counter. Around 10 a.m., I got a call from the school. My heart stopped when I saw the number pop up on my phone. The principal's voice was shaky as she said there was an emergency and all parents needed to come to the school immediately. She wouldn't tell me what happened over the phone, which made my panic even worse. I raced to the school and saw police cars everywhere. Ambulances lined the street with their lights flashing. Parents were crying and hugging each other in the parking lot, some still in their pajamas from rushing over. My hands were shaking as I searched frantically for Emma. I found her sitting with a police officer in the main office. The officer asked me to sit down. I knew this couldn't be good news. For the past 3 weeks, Emma had been sitting with this quiet kid named Marcus at lunch. He always looked sad and angry, eating alone at a corner table while other kids ignored him or made fun of his old sneakers. Emma would share her chips and help him with algebra homework when he was struggling. I thought it was sweet, but didn't think much of it. That morning, Marcus had pulled Emma aside before first period started. He seemed really upset about something and said he needed to talk to her privately. They sat in an empty hallway by the lockers for almost 30 minutes. Other students walking by just assumed they were friends having a normal conversation. I kept thinking about how strange Emma had been acting. The way she kept staring at her phone like she was waiting for bad news. How she'd barely slept the night before. I could hear her pacing in her room at 2 a.m. Even that morning, she'd asked me weird questions like, "Mom, do you think people can really change? And what would you do if you knew something terrible was going to happen?" I thought she was just being a dramatic teenager, but now those questions were starting to make sense in the worst possible way. The police officer said Emma had come to the principal's office afterward, asking to speak with someone immediately. She seemed calm, but kept insisting it was extremely urgent. The principal was stuck in a meeting with the district office, so Emma waited patiently in the office for 20 long minutes, just sitting there quietly. When they finally called her in, Emma carefully placed something wrapped in her jacket on the principal's desk. She told them Marcus had given it to her and that they needed to call the police right away. The security guard was immediately called over to examine what she'd brought. The tension in the room was thick as the officer unwrapped Emma's jacket. It was a loaded black handgun with 3 boxes of extra ammunition. Marcus had detailed plans written in a spiral notebook, hand-drawn maps of the school layout, lists of students who had bullied him, and a timeline for lunchtime when the cafeteria would be packed with over 400 kids eating. Emma had talked Marcus out of his plan during those 30 minutes in the hallway. She convinced him to give her the weapon, instead of going through with the attack he'd been planning for months. The officer said Marcus was crying when he handed it over, telling Emma that she was the only person who had ever been kind to him, and he couldn't hurt her or anyone else. Marcus is getting help now, instead of destroying lives. Later, Emma told me, "Remember when you always said treat everyone with kindness because you never know what invisible battles they're fighting? Marcus just needed someone to care." My simple words